This city, a smudge on a map of beautiful hillsides and fields of gold. Truly a cartographer's nightmare. But for me, it's home. Like it or not, growing up, I saw a lot of crime on the streets. Everywhere I looked, death, sorrow, agony. You couldn't go a day without reading an article in the paper about some poor fella getting shot in the melon. That's why I made it my life purpose to protect not just people, but melons too. Because in Citrullus City, it ain't hard to find a good ripe melon getting the short end of the stick that he doesn't deserve.
Oh great, it's the chief. When the chief calls, you know he's either gonna tell you about some gal or a crime.
Yeah, Chief.
Detective, it's the chief. I gotta tell you about this new secretary that I got. I think you'd really like her.
I knew it would be one or the other.
But first, head down to the high school. There's been a murder.
Dear God, it's both.
Good luck, detective. Now, what was your name, sweetheart?
Melinda Mellon.
I've seen a lot in my time on the force, but never have I seen anything like this. Holy honeydew, what happened here?
Well, it appears the victim was stabbed multiple times with several plastic butter knives.
An astute observation, but this was no stabbing. I noticed it the moment I walked on the scene. The footprints stopped approximately 3 meters away from the victim, meaning the murderer threw the knives. Also, Nikes, size 9, black. Put this next to the body. .2 meters. But what's the time?
Well, the surveillance cameras didn't catch the killer's face. He was just out of shot. But I was able to calculate the average time it took for the knives to be thrown.
I already knew it. 2 seconds exactly. It's almost impossible to throw a knife at that speed.
The time's 2 seconds. It's almost impossible for any human to throw at that speed.
If we plug that amount of time into the average velocity equation, along with the distance, we can determine that the velocity used by the attacker was 1.6 meters per second.
Wow, detective. You must have been some sort of physics teacher in another life.
He was absolutely right, but he would never know the reason I left that life behind me.
What now, detective?
Now, we take this back to the lab and run it through the system. The average human arm cannot throw at this velocity, so our data should identify only a select number of suspects, unless you have any more evidence to find.
Just this Mardi Gras king cake token, detective.
These darn machines, they're taking our jobs. I remember when a good working man would determine suspects based on their knife-throwing velocity, but today we've got a machine for it.
Detective, it's the chief. There's been another murder.
I guess it's true what they say. When it rains, it pours. Newton's first law.
What's that, detective?
The killer used Newton's first law. The poor lad didn't know what was coming. The killer came from behind and hurled him into the wall, sending mashed melon membrane all across the wall.
So how does this death involve Newton's first law, detective?
Newton's first law states that an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an outside force.
So you're saying that the murderer took this motionless melon and acted on it as an outside force, therefore causing it to cease its motionlessness.
You're learning quick, kid. Almost too quick. The kid has smarts. I can only hope he'll continue to use it for good. Listen closely, kid. This is clearly the work of the same murderer. So if we...
How do you know it's the same, detective?
Because there's a Mardi Gras king cake token here. Just like on the football field.
There is a witness, Old Man Melon. He's right over there.
Old Man Melon. wisest old fruit in the basket. You can always trust this honest man of a melon to tell you God's honest truth. Old man Melon, did you see anything? Any specific details that might help?
Sure did, Detective. I'd have to say the attacker threw the watermelon from a distance of exactly 1.3 meters from the wall. It took 0.98 seconds for that poor fella to reach the wall. I'd say that if you divide those two numbers, you'd get a velocity of 1.33.
This is without a doubt the same killer.
Should I send this stuff to the lab to be tested, Detective?
I dismissed the idea at the high school, but now I'm beginning to consider the possibility that...
Detective!
What?
Send this stuff to the lab?
Sure. The two victims were both watermelons, leading me to believe that the murderer will go after a watermelon again. But as I mentioned before, melons are a hot target here in Citrullus City. Hey, Chief, another murder?
No, actually, my secretary here, Melinda Mellon, is interested in meeting you, Detective. I've been talking you up.
Chief, I'm in no place to meet anyone.
Alright, well, good night, Detective. Detective, there's been another murder.
This is the grisliest one yet, Detective.
Let me guess. It's a melon.
You guessed right. It seems the killer dragged the victim across the asphalt here while driving a car, leaving the victim in this revolting final form.
I guess it's like what they say. Sting like a beaver, eat like a bee. Am I right? Any more evidence?
Just another one of these Mardi Gras king cake tokens. Detective, what even is a Mardi Gras king cake token?
I was worried you'd ask this. Reliving that awful night is something I loathe entirely. But I knew the kid wouldn't let up.
During Mardi Gras, there are special cakes made for the party. Inside is one of these baby Jesus tokens. The person who finds it has to host the party next year.
Do you think the killer is trying to send a message with these?
Dang it! He's on to me. Think fast, Detective. We'll figure it out later. Now let's have a look at the crime scene. Is there a witness?
Yeah, little boy Melon.
Little boy Melon, tell me what you saw.
The car traveled a total of 30 meters with the time of 15 starting at rest, meaning that the velocity was 2 meters per second. This leads us to the acceleration, which is 0.133 meters per second per second.
How did you determine the acceleration?
Acceleration is determined by dividing the final velocity minus the initial velocity by the final time minus the initial time.
And we also know that the killer used drag force, which is a force that opposes an object's motion.
And he used kinetic friction, which is a force exerted by two different surfaces when they rub together.
Thank you, little boy Melon. Take this back to the lab, boy.
You got it, Detective.
I knew it would be only a matter of time before another murder got called in, but I figured I had time for a drink. That drink being a soda, not alcohol. Another soda, bartender?
Sorry. We're all out of soda. We have this Simple Truth organic seltzer water.
But you're a soda-only bar. How are you out of soda?
Sorry, we just run out of soda sometimes.
Just give me the dang seltzer. Didn't like it.
Well, that's gonna be $4.50.
Put it on my tab.
You're that detective, aren't you? The chief's been telling me all about you.
Oh, you're, Melinda Mellon. Did I get that right? Sorry, that's a very uncommon last name.
That's my name, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your name is...
Listen, Melinda, you seem like a nice girl, but I'm not looking for love. I'm a grizzled detective with a troubled past.
Let's run away together. We can get married and start over, away from all the pain the city causes.
I'm sorry, Melinda, but I can't elope.
It feels like my only purpose was for a subtle build-up leading to that terrible melon pun.
This happens a lot. I guess the ladies are into grizzled detectives with troubled pasts. It just comes with the job, I suppose. It ain't much, but it's honest work.
Hiya, Chief. Another murder? What a surprise.
Hey, detective, how's your soda?
Rough as nails. Just like my grizzled detective personality.
Okay, well, this guy was dropped off of his roof.
This was no ordinary fall. This was a free fall. The distance from the ground to the roof is 1.27 meters. And since this is free fall, the acceleration is that of gravity. 9.8 meters per second.
If we plug this into our formula of final velocity, the final velocity will be 2.49 meters per second.
Wow, detective, you really are always prepared for any physics-related crimes.
All crimes are physics crimes, kid. Aha! Another Mardi Gras king cake token.
What do you think they mean, detective? They must be a sign from the killer.
It's time I told the kid the truth. I used to be a physics teacher, kid. I was adored by all my students due to my hilarious wordplay and dazzling intellect. One year, I was assigned a student teacher, Leonard Leonatus. He was adopted by 2 watermelons after his parents died. At the hands of watermelons. You can imagine the trauma. Anyway, during Mardi Gras that year, all the teachers had a big party and Leonard brought a king cake. I found the Mardi Gras king cake token, meaning I had to throw the party next year. Well, next year rolled around, and I remembered the party, but what I didn't remember was to invite Leonard. He was teaching in Michigan by then. I didn't think he'd want to travel all the way here for a Mardi Gras party. But he came and was not happy. We got in a huge fight, and we haven't spoken since. But his last words to me were these. I am going to return to Citrullus City in 20 years and avenge my parents by killing a bunch of watermelons. And get back at you, because for some reason I feel like you're going to be a grizzled detective with a very troubled past. I had no idea what those words meant until the other day when I saw the Mardi Gras king cake token at the football field.
Well, why didn't you say anything, detective? You could have prevented a bunch of these murders.
Listen, kid, I'm a grizzled detective with a troubled past, and grizzled detectives don't play by the rules.
But detective, all you've done is use physics to determine the velocity and free fall and stuff. It almost makes me wonder if you're even qualified to work in law enforcement.
Listen, kid, qualifications don't mean anything in this city. I could quit this job and become a surgeon if I wanted, but I don't, because my heart lies with the law.
Where could he be? If I were Leonard, where would I be? Probably at my old football field to relive my glory days as quarterback of the varsity team. Or in that random alley where my parents were murdered. Wait a minute! My Hot Pocket's been cooling too long. Dang it, it's gone cold. Just like this case. Ah, clever wordplay, detective. That's it! These are all places that are cold, because they're outside. So Leonard's next attack will be someplace outside. No, there's too many outside places.
Oh my goodness! These are all places from Leonard's past, which means the only remaining place is the old physics classroom. Leonard Leonatus. Welcome back, Mr. Physics Teacher, or should I say, Mr. Former Physics Teacher who forgot to invite me to his Mardi Gras party.
He hadn't changed one bit. His wordplay was still vastly inferior to mine. It's been a while, Leo. How are you?
Oh, you know, just holding on.
Oh, I feel that, brother.
Holding on to a grudge.
Holy honeydew, his wordplay has improved.
You know, Detective, I thought I'd get over it. But then a week went by, then a month, and then before I knew it,
20 years.
Leonard, you're crazy! Killing all these innocent melons!
No melon is innocent, Detective. I, of all people, would know what my true past at all.
Leo, let me help you.
The only thing you'll be helping is yourself. Helping yourself to a buffet of melon baskets after I get done killing a bunch more melons. And it won't just be watermelons, Detective. It'll be cantaloupes and honeydews. And that's all the melons I can think of.
How about peel de sapo? Looks like physics saves the day again.
Thanks, kid, but what's peel de sapo?
Popular in Spain, this oval-shaped melon got its Spanish name from toad skin, from its thick, blotched green peel. Its soft, juicy flesh is pale yellow-green, with a subtle flavor similar to honeydew.
Wow, that's great, kid, but I've got to make a phone call. Hiya, Chief. Could you give me the number of that Melinda Melon girl?
What changed your mind, Detective?
Well, before, I was a grizzled detective with a troubled past, and now I'm just a grizzled detective. Also, we caught the murderer. He's unconscious on the floor of the high school physics classroom. Send someone to pick him up.